Okay, Rabbi Sai, we have a very, very special guest here tonight. His name is Ryo Fried, a very chushev Askan. I'm on a group that he put together of chaplains and of tzaddikim that are helping Klal Yisrael. And the Higisa by Yoimam V'Layla is not just on Torah, it's on Askanos. He's an Askan Yoimam V'Layla. And he agreed to share the story of his life, of the pain and difficulties and trauma that he went through and how he overcame it. It's a story of tremendous hope. Hope for us, hope for everyone who is suffering and struggling, and hope for our children who are going through challenges that they can one day hopefully be as great as our wonderful guest, Yoel Fried. This is a great introduction for a great man. Here you go. Make yourself comfortable.
Hello, Avi. How are you? First of all, I want to start by saying that the work that you do for Klal Yisrael, as much as I know, as much as I see, I don't know every case that you oversee, but I believe that the work that you put in for Klal Yisrael in the last few years, the amount of lives of kids who are going through pain, kids who are going through trauma, kids who are going through emotional trauma, physical trauma, kids who are from parents that don't understand the kids. However, it's the avoidance that you do that deserves a lot more praise than what you just praised me. This is just it's amazing, and it's unbelievable that I'm humbled that I can come here and share my story with you and with you listeners. But also I'm humbled to know you as a person that saves Klal Yisrael, saves neshumas, saves souls. The amount of things that you do, Avi, is something that no praises are going to be enough in order for me to be able to, to share my story with you. I'm more humbled to be here than you are humbled to have me. So thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
So my story goes back when my brother was born. I have an older brother, 11 years older than me. When he was born, it was in 1972. And I was born in 1983. He was born in 72. My mother was diagnosed with kidney failure back when he was born, or around a little after he was born. The first kidney that she got donated was from a brother or a sister of hers. Usually the sisters and brothers are matches. Was a little after, like a year after that, she got the first transplant. Now understand, back then in 72, it's not like today's day where there's agencies that help you to make the combination between the donor and the recipient, and they help you with the cost, they help you with the hospital stay, and if you have kids, the babysitting. There wasn't an agency. It was a registry in the hospital that you had to go through and be in the line, and you had to wait, and the surgery itself was probably, I never had it, Baruch Hashem, but I assume it was much more complicated than nowadays, where it's like a laparoscopic, a lot of it, and you come home a couple days later, you're back to normal. It was real
Major
difficult,
surgery.
right? So, because of that reason, when my brother was born, she had the first kidney transplant. A little later, I don't know the exact time and dates. In a total of her life, she lived for about 38 to 40 years that she lived. She passed away approximately 8 or 9 years ago. She went through 4 kidney transplants, and when they couldn't do anymore because the body has a limit of how much you can do, and all of them rejected after a certain amount of time, she had to remain on dialysis. Later, when I was born, which was 11 years later, when I was born, my mother, before I was born, she had a kidney transplant. For 11 years, she couldn't have kids because of the kidney issue. When I was born, she went in, she had an infection already by the end of the pregnancy. But when I was born, she then was diagnosed again with kidney failure. She started an infection after I was born, then she had to again go through another kidney transplant. So it was very difficult for her again. You had to be in the hospital a lot before the kidney transplant. You had to be in the hospital to prepare yourself. It was not such an easy thing as in today's day and age, where there's so much, as I said, the help and the support and the actual procedure to go through. So because I was a brand new baby, a month old or 2 months old, she said that she feels that she can't have me because I'm a baby. I need to have a mother or a father, but she had to be in the hospital more than be at home, and she can't have me as a baby to basically be home. So they decided there were many good neighbors, friends, and people that we knew that lived next to us who they kind of did a chesed and took me in as a baby. I don't remember. I was just told between different families, many months and sometimes longer than that. So my slippery slope in CHIZUK started when I didn't have a father and a mother really. I mean, I had, but you know, I think from an emotional perspective, I was missing like you always stress a lot, is the love and the care of a mother and a father, because they were busy, unfortunately, with the situation. So.
Did they come visit you? And I'm sure they came to visit you nearby.
Yeah, they came, but again, I was a lot not home.
Right.
That's one thing. The second thing is also where they came from, I believe, is what you stress a lot, is their belief was very old school when it came to chinuch, it came to education. This is how we saw, this is how it goes, this is how it has to be. No one else can tell me what to do. You know, the old method that you keep on talking about and going about is not to be, you know, support him the way he is or respect him the way he is, and don't expect him to be different, because right now he's not at a stage, you know, how you usually stress it. However, was also that they were not, but that happened years later. We're talking about when I was a child, I had to be by different people.
How many years were you by other people?
I don't know the exact amount, but I know there was many people who I was by. I'm not going to mention their names because it's not. I don't know if they agreed that I should say it to them. Although it is in my article that I was recently interviewed, and they were very happy about it. But it was, I think, for a longer time. And then when I got.
A few months, or a few years.
No, not a few years. It was a few months here, a few months there. Then when I got a little bit older, we moved. We lived in Brooklyn, and I was born in Brooklyn. We moved to Monroe. That's where they moved. Then as the years went by, she had a total of 3 kidney transplants and 8 surgeries in general. All of these were related to the issue with the kidney. Some of them were yeast infections, some of them were other type of stuff that I don't remember because I was young and, you know, I didn't know much. But what I do know nowadays is that coming from such a home where you were the only child at home, you had to be away from home. A lot of times it's Shabbos, it's a Yontif, you want to be with your family, you want to be enjoy your family. All I saw is when I was home was sadness. I saw a lot of my parents discussing, okay, what did the doctor say today? What did the doctor say tomorrow? So I think going back now, that a kid that grows up in a home where there's a lot of trauma involved and a lot of emotionally, you don't grow up with I don't know if I should say the love of a father and a mother, but I think that you don't get the support like an individual kid would get. It comes to Shabbos, it comes to Yontif, you sit down by the table, you know, you have a meal together, it's lebedik, it's a simchedige environment. Yeah, you know.
There was a lot of pain, and there was a lot
of again, going over what did the doctor say, and what did the doctor say again, and so sometimes. So, you know, there was
nobody's fault.
Right, it's nobody's fault, but as a kid, I didn't see that.
Right.
Now, I also had to be growing up a little later in Monroe. Because of the issue that she went on dialysis a lot, you come home very weak. This is what I saw. So they don't have much of energy when they come home. So a lot of Shabbos, I felt like I want to go away somewhere. I want to go somewhere where there's more. So we had a lot of family friends who I went to for Shabbos. I went to family, to uncles, to aunts. So basically, my life was revolved a lot. I can't say every single day, but a lot of having to to go somewhere where it's geschmack, where it's lebedik, where it's, you know, so.
Healthy, normal.
Right. The functioning family.
Not depressed.
Exactly. That was exactly what it was. Now, back then when I was born, I'm almost 39 years old now. When I was born, the way of how it wasn't such an accepting thing. You go for therapy, back then in the 1980s or in the 1990s, there wasn't such thing as going for therapy, going to a psychiatrist, go to a licensed professional, talk to him, talk to someone. There wasn't an Avi Fishoff who you sit down with and the parents have an understanding what a kid goes through, how to deal with a kid that is in pain. It wasn't acknowledged. The method of trauma was not acknowledged. So the more time that went by and from home was not easy for me, I became this nebbich a bittel in me. I was like always going around, didn't like to be associating with friends. Or because I went through a lot of trauma at home emotionally, I became a fighter, meaning to say I had to fight for my existence. So I came in school, when I was always nasty with the kids. I was always, you are looking to hurt me. You are looking to bite me. I don't trust you.
It's very interesting. A lot of kids who bully or fight or rebel, they're on edge. People think, I have to break him. No. It comes because I have to hug him. And that's not what people... Mechitzev aros. Why is this kid so on edge? He's missing something in his life. And mitashtigel ahava and kirva, you can calm the person down. And this is what you just said now, is very, very telling. That sometimes we see a rebellious and angry...
And again, back then we didn't have agencies.
Right.
We didn't have Avi Fishoff or Twisted Parenting to talk to the parents on how to be, to deal with the kid.
Everything was, if you didn't behave, you're a problem. I have to punish you, and then you'll behave.
Right, or I'll send you to a private tutor to learn with you because you have you're als een schwache kop. You don't recognize the learning. You don't understand. Maybe whatever. But there was no such thing as acknowledging the source of the problem, which is so crucial, is to go through to a therapist and see professional help. Let the therapist guide you and try to bring it out.
The hardest part is that not only you're not dealing with the source of the problem, but by dealing with all the symptoms and the outcomes, you're hurting the kid because you're making him feel stupid, dumb. You're a problem, you have an anger problem, and it's all not true. It's painful.
What comes out of that is that when the kid goes through that, at home, he sees only pain and sorrow and trauma. At school, he doesn't have any friends. Whoever he does, he fights with because he thinks everyone is out there to get him. So you're lonely at home, you're lonely in school,
right,
and you have no friends. And by the time one of my mashgichim did realize that something is wrong, and he was a little bit more... more understanding, he wanted to send me to a therapist, but my parents didn't agree with it, and I think they didn't agree. It's not because they didn't... Maybe it wasn't from a bad perspective, I can say now, after so many years, but I think it's more of a...
That was the climate.
I didn't understand better.
Right, no, that was the climate.
Like maybe this person is too modern, he's going to take him off the path, and we have the Masoida.
The chaval is that you really didn't need... A therapist is someone who understands, but there's so many mashgichim, rabbanim. Before therapists exists, Klal Yisrael is very smart, and we should have our people to take care of our kids. We shouldn't always say, "Oh, go to the therapist. He went to school," and that's wonderful. Before that, where was the mashgich himself? The rabbanim themselves, to see a lost child who's slipping through the cracks, who's so wonderful, with such potential, and is going through so much pain. Let me be mekarev him. Let me speak to him. Let me go for a walk with him, and have a session. Doesn't have to be 45 minutes in a desk. That's mekarev, and say. Hey,
even if I used to go to the mashgiach and tell him, I'm in pain today. Why somebody said something, they would say, don't
listen to him.
Don't listen to him. Yeah.
They don't cap that you're sensitive because something's bothering you.
Exactly, and it was never treated, the underlying issue of the problem. And that's why, again, I started to stress it, that I see, as a person that not only is involved in cases on day-to-day basis, and I see sometimes comes out of a case that a kid is in trauma, and I would send them to the right person. But it's also that I see how what you do now, I wish would have been in the 1980s. When I was born, that could have probably... I mean, not that I ended up so bad, but I would have probably
saved you a lot of pain.
Correct.
A lot of loneliness.
Yes.
A lot of going to sleep at night instead of happy. a lot of
crying a lot.
crying a lot, and feeling like, why doesn't anybody understand me? Why doesn't anybody? I think we already learned the tremendous lessons from Rabbi Yoeli about no kid should ever feel that everyone's just, it's such an easy stamp. Bad, dumb, stupid, lazy. It's not true. I've never met, out of all the kids, I've never met the kids that were bad, dumb, stupid, lazy. That's the easiest conclusion because it means that we don't have to do the work. The Rebbe doesn't have to do the work. The Manal doesn't have to do the work. The parents don't have to do it. He's bad, lazy, stupid. He makes bad decisions. And mechitzif, we'll get him a private tutor and he should whatever, blah, 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 blah. Easiest thing for us. But I've never met that. In fact, with all the kids that I work with and the parents, once you understand the child, they prove to us how smart they are, how much of a fighter they are. They're stronger than any regular kid. They're coming back from being broken, like you have over here, major Askan and Klal Yisrael. They're strong, and Nebuch, to go through those years where we don't have an understanding, so we just constantly think, oh, he's bad, lazy, stupid. How convenient for us.
So as I said, when I got older, I had to be a lot by family, friends for Shabbos because I was looking to go away. I was looking for a little bit, more besimchedige in environments. I was looking for a little bit more, more positive environments. Later on, and I want to praise it because I know it's going to go out there, so I want to say that later on when I got a little older and I was a bucher and the Atzula had to come to us a lot from Kirisyor, and I want to praise them because they were shlichim to a certain way giving me therapy, but not therapy. So they took me under their wings because they saw that, I needed a lot of support. They knew that I'm going to be happy to do something for the community, to be involved. So that's where it started back then. The guy is Mordechai Friedman. I don't know if you heard of him. And he lived in Kirisyor. He was a Tzula member. He was also overseeing, back then was a Shabbos room in Arden Hill Hospital. Used to be Arden, now it's Arden Regional or Garnet Health, whatever. He used to do the Shabbos Shtip, so he took me along every Friday. We did together the Shabbos Shtip.
Beautiful.
And again, you don't know how much of a sense of satisfaction I felt. Wow, I'm able to do something. I'm worth it something. It's not that I'm a garbage or I'm a, you know what I mean? I'm
problem.
Right. I'm a person that could do, and it made me forget all the pain for that time of when I was doing something positive. It made me feel like, wow, you were able to go and do the Shabbos room. And then Atzula took me and I started making the peklich for Yidden that going in the hospital, give him a little pekel of food. So I was able to start doing that. And that's how slowly but surely I started coming in to the world of Askun. It took many years. It wasn't easy until
I guess you could say that he gave you a taste.
A taste of what it means, the self-esteem you get from doing something good.
From helping other people. And that instead of being worthless and a problem and under society, you could become on top of society, because Askanim are the greatest people in the world, and you found satisfaction of that. Baruch Hashem. There's another lesson. If your kid is struggling in school, he's not going to get sipuk, satisfaction from school. Find something, especially when they're young and they're looking for it before they break and they're doing drugs. Find something he could feel satisfaction. Visiting old people, helping making Shabbos packages. There's so much Askanim out there. Grab one of these kids that are shvach. Come with me, come, let's go, and have and make them feel like they're part of the solution. They're part of helping people.
And
beautiful.
And unfortunately, to today's day, because all these years I never went for a professional therapist to talk to someone and to discuss and how to cope and how to do. Fortunately, I would say, and I'm very proud to say it, I'm not ashamed, even when people will see it, they'll know that if you ever have a situation where you are going through a lot and you need to talk to someone, there is plenty of therapists out there who are licensed, who are professional, who you can talk to, who you can discuss if you have a problem. In other words, never leave something that bothers you and stresses you to be in you. You have to go to someone to talk about it, to discuss it, and see what is the proper thing to do. And even to today's day, When I was a Cheder, I never forget. This is something I never forget, and I want to stress it that the parents should know that if your kid is being bullied in Cheder and the Rebbe doesn't take care of it or doesn't understand how to deal with it with the kids, and you make fun of the kid when he's, oh, you're too sensitive, oh, you're too this.
Blame the victim.
It just causes you more pain and more agony, and the kid doesn't want to go to school. There was many days I didn't want to go to school. And to today's day, I'm married, I have a child, and I have a wife, Baruch Hashem, but I still have this issue with trust because of what the kids did to me in school, how they belittled me, embarrassed me, bullied me. I just don't trust my own shadow, unfortunately. That meaning to say, I can go on the street and talk to someone on the phone, and I can think 2 times, did he really mean that he's going to do so-and-so, or he meant because he had mercy on me, like not because he really wants to be a friend of mine. I still, to today's day, even with good therapy and with medication, Baruch Hashem, and I'm coping and I'm here and I'm doing for Klal Yisrael day in and day out, but this is something that has to be stressed, that when your kid suffers in school, if he's being bullied, he's being intimidated, he's being harassed, he's being embarrassed, it's important that you deal with it in a way that it stops, because by me, unfortunately, it never stopped. It never came to a point where the kids understood me and we all grew up, life takes its course, and I still to today's day, unfortunately, don't trust my own shadow. So this is something I think that you do also a lot, is to bring in self-esteem in these kids that are going through pain, that you understand them, you validate the pain, and you try to work with and not only that, but if you have to ever go for therapy, if you should have, you should only go to someone who is a professional, who is a licensed, who knows what he does, and Ishkan plays the doctor and self-diagnoses the patient. I mean, there's a Chushev Chavaman, Avi Mendelovich, a very one of the greatest tzaddikim at the Hantigedar, and I'm fortunate these days to work with him and help him, other kids and other cases of trauma, cases of mental health, to help him to deal with it when it comes to it. And I would send patients to Avi also if I feel that it's something that needs to be. But the main point is to validate these kids and make them feel valid, make them feel that you understand them and don't judge them. And the Rebbes and Talmidim and people should know that the pain and trauma that you go through from being belittled in Cheder year after year, belittled, bullied, intimidated, is one of the greatest sins you could do for the person in Cheder, because then he hates to go to Cheder, he feels not understood, he hates to be home because he feels not understood, and then you have to end up in Avi scared. But why should we have to do that? You know, why shouldn't we have remmeber? Right, Avi? What do you think? Like to have more of a...
For sure, but I want to say something. I feel so bad for you and the victims that get bullied. Terrible. But there's another group of people that I feel terrible for. The bullies. The bullies. There are kids in 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade that are murderers, murdering people for life. And why isn't anybody being madrich them and teaching them? They're not Rishayim. They're just little kids. Little kids have bad midos. They act bad. Where's the Rebbe? Where's the parents of that? Where are the people being mechanech these people that you're not allowed to bully? A Jewish kid should be bullied. You know that bullying, look it up in Google, is, I believe, the second cause of death. The second greatest cause of death, I believe, after drugs, is bullying for teenagers and young adults. A Yiddish kid, I mean, you talk about being a Jew. The first thing is to be edel, to be nice, to not hurt somebody else. We have kids that are murderers. They have no chinuch, they have no Rebbe. The Rebbe doesn't see what's happening by recess. The Rebbe doesn't go and tell, hey, Ruvain, come here. Let's talk about in class, or for everybody, not to hurt another Jew. Now, there's normal playing and there's normal teasing, but first of all, it's not normal when it's not normal, and it's not normal when you see you're picking on somebody that's going through a hard time. I would work with these kids and say, you have an achrayus as a leader, Baruch Hashem, you're not going through a hard time. Every class is going to have a weird kid, a slow kid, a learning disabled kid or a great kid that's going through a hard time. Always going to have that. The achrayus on the leaders and the top ones is to make sure to protect those kids. And you see that in 5 minutes. Which are the strong-minded ones? Teach them how to be, first of all, not murderers. And second of all, teach them how to be askanim and to care for. I wanted to tell you I'm very proud of my kids. My kids grew up with home sweet home kids, and without talking about this issue, my kids always took care of the shvacha kivakshan. They were healthy, good kids. They always took care of the weaker kids in the class. Always. And one story I have of my son he was very good at basketball. And he was on the in the basketball Motzei Shabbos league. He was the captain. And there was a kid there. There's always some kids there who don't really belong in the basketball league. And it was a tie game, and it was like the last minute to the game. And they called a timeout, and they regrouped, and everybody told him, we need our best people there. Take out this shvacha kid, because we got to win the game. And my son said, no. He refused to make this kid feel bad, maybe forever. I'd rather lose the game. And he was just a kid himself. He was, I don't remember, young, maybe 11 or 12, and he didn't want to embarrass a kid. And everybody would say, sure, the game is so important, as if it's the Olympics. No, the game is not important. Somebody's feelings are important. I have another son that he had a kid in his class going through a really hard time, always made sure that when the chevra went out, always included him. He was that kid was in my house many meals, and he was going through a hard time with his parents and with his families. He was a little bit different. He's doing great now. You have to think 10 years later. So I feel bad for the victims, the one victim. I feel bad for the 5, 10, 15 other people who are bullies. Either they're going to bully for the rest of their lives, or maybe they're going to grow up and be wonderful people, and they're not even going to realize that blood on their hands, that there's somebody suffering 20 years later because you were mean. Because you were mean. When I was a kid, right, I was mean. I wasn't a bully, but I liked to joke around. I liked to joke around at my own expense. I thought I was very fair. I joked around at my own expense with my sharp tongue. If there was a line that needed to be said, I said it. If it put me down, I was very short. Fine. And if it was about the fat kid, it was fine. I thought it's fine until somebody came over to me. And he told me, you really hurt me. And I realized it's not okay. Somebody has to teach kids, Rachmana litzlan, that, and they could be getting hundreds and mitzuyin, they're not mitzuyanim. If you bully, you hurt somebody else's feelings, you're murdering them. You have to ask the mechila. You have to protect the weak. It's a whole part of chinuch that I feel bad that they don't have.
And the main thing is two things that I always feel. I take it very personal. Is when a Yid calls me, says I need help in the hospital. You see on the group how much we help Klal Yisrael
constantly
from the entire world. And the reason why I made this is for two reasons. One is because I went through so much pain, so I know what it means a person is in pain. And sometimes it could be life and death, and sometimes it could be not such an emergency. So that's one thing why I did it. But the other thing is, and I'll say it openly, I'm not going to deny it, because from denying it, I wouldn't get anywhere. It's because it gives me a tremendous satisfaction and a self-esteem that I was able to build up a network of askunim, of chaplains, of liaisons, of hospitals, of medical facilities, of however Klal Yisrael should be needing. They come on the group, they got the help. That gives me, by the end of the day, a satisfaction and a self-esteem, which unfortunately was killed all these years from pain and trauma and emotional abuse. Now I take it as a satisfaction. And as somebody says, you wanted me to become this weak person. You wanted me to be einer that nobody looks at your side. But look now, Baruch Hashem. People come to me, they need help. I need help too. I need help there. And Baruch Hashem,
there's no greater feeling, and there's no greater purpose.
What I'm saying is, as you said, the long-term effect that these things have is unreal. You have to address, if a kid goes through pain and trauma, the mashgichim or the Rebbe's and Chayda should address it with the proper techniques.
Part of chinuch.
Right.
Part of chinuch. That your kid, you should know Chumash, you should know Rashi, you should know how to deal with other people, and the achrayis, the responsibility to protect those that are on the bottom of the life right now. You especially look 20 years later, they're going to be on top, and you're going to be calling them either for a donation for the yeshiva or to Askanim. How many Askanim and Hatzalah and a lot of Askanis and Chesed and Klal Yisrael were from people who were not Matzliach in yeshiva.
And I'm saying it because it's important that you should not be ashamed. If you need help, either your kid is suffering or you yourself are suffering stress, emotional, anything that you may suffer from mentally, emotionally, it's important to go and seek help. Don't be ashamed. Don't be, just come out, seek for the help. You can call me always. I'm sure I'll get many calls after this, but you can. There is who to talk to. As I said, Avi Mendelowitz is one of the biggest, I would say, tzaddikim in the Hantigedar in the mental health. Avi does, as I said in the beginning, tremendous work. There's many good,
many other people,
who do it and who you could get the help. But please come out and do the help, because when you do it later in the years, like now, it's much harder to get healed 100% than when you were younger.
100%. I want to say one thing also. The biggest thing for a child is mommy and daddy.
And again, because I didn't understand my parents so well, when I was younger, I didn't understand them. They didn't understand me. It wasn't such an accepted culture then to go out and look for help. What is wrong with this child? What is this? What is that? Why is he rebellious? Why is he always not happy, always complaining? All these things were not addressed. It was not something that you go out and you seek, when somebody did try to suggest help, it was... Nah, I'm not going to take his help. Who is he? He's some modern guy, whatever. Who am I going to accept his help? But,
I want to jump in here, and this is why Rabbi Eli is here, because first of all, you're so brave that you're sharing your experiences, and it's a testimony to how much you care about Klal Yisrael. You're doing it. Maybe somebody will get help. A lot of people.
No, because it's also that from being ashamed, you're killing your own self. If a person has pain, has stress, has emotional anxiety, has whatever it is, go out and seek help. Don't sit home and just pretend that nothing is going on, because help is available.
Right. So I want to say it's like this. There's a lot to say on the topic. I want to give him the stage over here. But when somebody is misbehaving, listen what he's saying. A person has internal bleeding. Inside of him there's blood. So he has a problem with eating. So he has a problem with sleeping. So he has a problem with concentrating. So he's in a grouchy mood. So you have all these things. And you can go to therapy while you're grouchy, while you're complaining. You can go to therapy while you have a food problem, eating disorder, all these things. And parents can try to be nice or angry or punish these things. But all of this is coming because there's internal bleeding. When a child is unhappy, he's going to complain, he's going to rebel, he's going to always be not zufrieden, he's always going to be depressed, he's always going to not eat well, not sleep well, not behave well, not find satisfaction. All these things are coming from a trauma of I don't feel good about myself and I'm not happy. Focus first on making him happy. Make the child happy, and then after 6 months of overdosing the child with extra happiness that he's not getting from regular life. Regular kids are happy from school, they're happy from davening, they're happy from camp, they're happy from life. Now you have a kid that's not. So rebelliousness and complaining and being not so free and there's nothing to eat and all the complaints, listen to what he's saying. That's not the problem. It's coming from I'm not understood and I'm unhappy inside. That's why I tell parents, don't go to therapy and get medication for the symptoms. put happiness in the child, do it for 6 months, a year. You'll see either it'll go away completely or it'll go away 3/4, and then you can go to therapy and get a little medication, a little therapy, because all the problems are going to go away, because they don't really have a problem of chutzpah. Chutzpah means because I'm so unhappy and I feel misunderstood. Make him happy. Tati, go out with him on vacation. Go out with him to eat. Go out of your normal chinuch, because normal chinuch is for normal kids who are feeling sipok hanefesh and satisfaction from the life that you gave them. So you give them a smile once a week. But somebody who's not feeling well, you got to do much more for them. So what he's being mechadish to us, which is not a chiddush to us, but it's a chiddush in this world that they didn't know 20 years ago, is somebody unhappy is going to do all kinds of bad stuff. Instead of punishing the bad, or even, I'm saying a chiddush, instead of even talking about the bad in therapy, understand the shayrish and deal with that. Make your kids have fun. F-U-N changes the mindset of the kids, and all of a sudden, after a couple of trips, that even though you would never do it with the other kids, a couple of trips and a couple of stuff and validation and compliments and I love you and I like you and you're amazing and boosting the kid, all of a sudden, a lot of the eating problems go away, a lot of the kvetchiness goes away, a lot of the complaining, all of a sudden, the medicine is not dealing with all the symptoms. The medicine is realizing my child's not happy. And for the mechanchim, the Rebbeim, and the parents, all adults, you see a kid who's complaining a lot, don't tell him, don't be a complainer. You see a kid is chutzpah, you're a mechutzif. If Steinman spoke about that a long time ago, he said, there's no such thing as chutzpah. Nobody comes to school to be thrown out of class. You see somebody struggling, they're struggling. They need to be boosted, idud, encouragement. You are great. What can I do to make your life better? Help me with the Shabbos packages. Go on a trip, take them out to eat, even if you don't normally do that. Anything to make them happy. Because happy kids
are not looking for other outside enjoyments or whatever you call it.
You save so much.
That's what I said, Avi, to begin with, that I think that had I been in 1980s, you would have existed. Who knows how many kids you would have, we would have been able to save. But
Every day I get calls from parents who are not part of my group, who are just getting videos and getting like the interviews like this of brave people like you, and they're saying, you have no idea. We thought, we had a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old. Things were getting worse and worse, grumpy. And instead of getting upset at his grumpiness, and instead of being upset that there's nothing to eat in the house, instead of getting angry at him and giving logic, we just started being super nice, took him on vacation, took him out to eat, whatever. A couple of months later, he's doing much better. But you have to stick with it. You have to keep on begleiting for many years to take away the internal problem until the surgery is done for the real deep trauma and the internal bleeding goes away. We got to keep on being there, fun and compliments and no negativity and no criticism. And the worst is criticizing somebody for behaving in a bad way when he does not have a midos problem.
And I still, to today's day, Baruch Hashem, I'm saying it proudly that I can oversee 5 hospitals. There's an ICU hospital that I serve as a chaplain. There are other hospitals that I do volunteer and patient experience. This is a 24 hours a day, almost volunteer position to a certain extent. But the amount of courage and the self-esteem that it gives me, and I'm saying it, I'm not shy to say it, when a person calls me and I'm able to make that connection with the doctor.
There's no greater feeling.
Correct.
Still to
today's day.
Helping somebody else. I feel bad. There's a lot of people that don't do it. They don't even know what it's like. They focus on themselves. Beautiful. Davening, learning. You don't know how good it feels to help somebody else.
No, but I'm talking about the point that when I would have had, maybe as a child, I would have had more, things that would give me the satisfaction. Maybe I would have not be looking nowadays for the self-esteem, because my self-esteem would have been built. But I did not have the self-esteem, and I did not have the trust in people. I did not have everybody. To today's day, and I say it again, I'm still out there, that everybody who says something on the phone or sends me a text message, I'll still be, is he serious about it? No, he probably makes fun of me.
Except me, I hope.
Listen, Avi, if I blame you, then I really can't go on, you know. But no, but on a serious note, I think that validation of a kid's feelings is something that I strive to give out as much as I can. That, you know, and it's when I had this interview a couple of months ago. The feedback I got from that was, how did you have the bravery and the courage to come out in a magazine and publicly share your story?
Which magazine was it?
The Moment magazine, which is overseen by Avi. Avi does the Nafshi part of it.
Avi who?
Avi Mendelevich has a part in the Nafshi. It's mental health
In
education. There's Mr. Solomon there. What's his name? Moti Solomon? Avramotcha Solomon. LCS.
The Moment is one of the most chushev.
Right, and I gave out this article also because they wanted people to know that mental health is not a stigma anymore. You can come out when you have a problem. You can seek out help when you have a problem. You can get help and be a human being between other human beings. But to go around and say, no, the issue doesn't exist. It's not a problem. We'll give him a capital tillum and that's going to help everything. No, it's not.
Right.
And it's also the long-term effect that the kids and the parents should know that when your kid is being bullied in Cheder and he comes home, he feels disappointed, he doesn't want to go to school a lot of times just because he's being bullied, he's being embarrassed. And still to today's day, I always think about it. Why did the kids do this to me? To embarrass me, to insult me, to demote me in any way possible, making fun of me. Of course, you don't have friends. At home, you go through a certain amount of emotional trauma. So there were certain times in my life where I said, you know, enough is enough. And I just, whatever, I don't want to say it, but I was, you know, about to end my life at some point. But Baruch Hashem, there came very gitte Yidden that remmeber took me under their wing, put me on for therapy, Baruch Hashem. It was too late already by then because I was way past the age of being able to do it. You gotta do it when the child is young. If a child has a problem, you can save a life, and that's what I said at the beginning. Avi, you're one of the true lifesavers of this dot, because the amount of, and in my opinion, is mental health saving is more crucial sometimes than medical help. What do you think, Avi?
I don't know. It doesn't need to be a competition.
No, but I'm saying it is a very, very...
Everything is necessary, but the problem is that we didn't know. 30 years ago didn't exist this knowledge, and we knew instinctively somebody licked in Spitul, somebody's lying in the hospital.
He's having surgery.
Everybody goes to visit, and Uncle Moshe comes in to sing for the kids, and Mordechai ben David comes for the adults, and everybody asks the parent, what can I do, what can I do, what can I bake, what can I bring? And you bring balloons, and you sit, and the parents sit there, and they sit on the chair, and they eat the big chaylim food. We are, honestly, Klal Yisrael and physical illness is a beautiful match. Nobody takes care of physical illness better than Jewish parents and family. When it came to mental illness, it came to mental problems, came to mental pressure, we just tried to push it away as if it doesn't exist, blame the child. You're making a big deal out of it. Why do you make such a big deal? Everyone has problems. It'll make you stronger. All of these things that we would never tell someone, oh, you're sick, you're throwing up, it'll make you stronger, go to school. You'll feel better, you'll feel better if you get out of bed. When you're physically ill, you tell that to someone?
And I think that if a person, a kid or a bucher, he doesn't want to get up in the morning, he doesn't want to go to daven, it's not because he doesn't want to go. I think there is always an underlying issue that you have to look at.
Right.
Why doesn't he have a mood to go and be able by the Shabbos?
If you're close with the kid, if you look at him, that he's your Ben Yachid, he's Ben Shal HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he's a Chelik Elokam Yimal, and you don't turn on him, and you see that he stops getting up in the morning, and you're his best friend, which is the job of parents from when they're born until the problem, is to be their best friend, and that's why the bad chinuch, the yelling, the screaming, the demeaning, you don't realize you're taking away a connection that you're going to need if the kid ever needs you. But when you're the best friend, you can go over to your kid, sit on his bed, and say, Shefala, I see it's hard. Are you having, a lot of these kids don't get up because they're not sleeping well.
Why they're not sleeping well? Because they have stress and they have anxiety.
Right. Imagine if he could talk to you. You
In other
could
words,
save years.
you lose the validation, you lose the sipik achayim of to go on in life. You don't want to have a life anymore.
Right.
It keeps the chayder, you're being bullied by the kids. You're going to the Rebbe to discuss it, the Nes, Sigunish, just, it's okay, you're taking it to heart, it's okay. But what I want people to know is the long-term effect it has on the person that you did it to. Could be, years later, and I still don't forget one day. And every time someone will text me or call me, or I'll have a conversation with someone, whatever it is, because I don't have a trust in people, I would still...
Because you don't have a trust in yourself.
Correct, exactly. Then what I'll do is I'll go to the hospital and I'll start advocating for patients. This is my outing. Go to the hospital, be involved in the case.
Better than drugs.
Right.
This is your addiction. I'm feeling triggered. I got to go save a life. I got to go help people.
Right. I mean, Baruch Hashem, there's no day I can say, Avi, proudly, that goes by. My phone shouldn't be on nonstop with this hospital, with that hospital, with this case and with that case. And Baruch Hashem, I'm able to help everyone. By the time I finish helping everyone, the bruchas and the praises they give me after, you know what he did to me? I was in the hospital, I was lonely, I didn't know what to do. That gives me the satisfaction. Even nowadays, and I'm saying it publicly on your video, I'm not ashamed. Even I'm almost 40 years old. And I think this is what keeps me going, is the chesed that I can give back, the amount of chesed I can do, the askunas I can help, with the Nasias Chaim that I have, the authorities that like to work with me, building that relationship, building the bridges. That helps me to, and again, the group is also something that should be, praised here on this video, because I think that all these askunim who are going to watch it and who are going to see it, you are I think the people who give me also the chizik, because you want to work with me and I work with you. And you see, we have cases that goes on in Israel, and somebody in New York will help them. That gives me the satisfaction. Look, you are worth it something. You're waking up for something and you go to sleep for something.
Not just something. It's a higher calling. Rabbi Yoel, I want to tell you that it's always the broken souls that have the most feelings to help other people. And there's no way to understand why you had to go through all the pain that you went through. But there's only one thing you can do for all those people in pain, is to use your pain to help
understand other people.
That's right.
And understand the sensitivity of how a person in pain suffers, if it's medically, if it's emotionally, if it's a kid that is not getting along with their parents. And listen, I wish, Avi, I can have an organization like you, but I don't yet. But you know what?
You're doing your tafkid, and you're using out your pain to help Klal Yisrael, and that's the only way to make sense of it. And that's what we hope for everybody who's in pain. We shouldn't be in pain, and everybody should have refuahs and yeshuas. But if you have pain, you went through something. A lot of organizations are opened by people. They couldn't have children. They opened up an organization for children. They couldn't. They had this problem. They opened. A lot of organizations are open from people who went through struggles.
And I think that I can say that my group that I founded, this group of a worldwide group, which, Avi, I'm proud that you're part of this group, and sometimes you chime in.
Very little.
Yeah, but sometimes you chime in. You're there. If you need help, you know where to reach out.
Yes.
I think that we should say proudly that this is my organization. This is something that I really did and I work for, and I do it every single day. And I think that it's time to say thank you to all these heroic askunim who are out there, and who help each other with such dedication every single day. I think there's no other thing that I can say.
Hashem should bless you, Rabbi Yoel, and all the people who are helping him, and all the askanim in Klal Yisrael. Everybody should be zeicher. We shouldn't have that much work to do, but whatever we do, we should help people properly without hurting. Sometimes people get insulted. Sometimes we can't help. Sometimes it's difficult. Everybody should have bana chayim mezayner revicha, siyata d'shmaya, parnasa berevach, to be able to help other people mitech simcha v'achavas hadas. And you should be zeicher to be able to do the same amount of work without having the pain inside of you. It should just evaporate, and you should be an askan that works from a place of menichas hanefesh.
Oman, Avi, and thank you for the work that you do every day, because you're truly a hero, and in the full sense of it. As a person that went through it myself, I see the importance, and I hear back the feedback from your work that you do. And I don't know how you do it, but you're truly a malach in our dar. Avi, thank you very much. And I hope that this video will only bring many people to understand the importance of it and to look out for help when they need.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Well, what a schus. What a schus to have you here. Beautiful.